Welcome to Dracowolf's podcast, where we are creating a convergence of cosmic energy witches to work the grids, release the patterns, and dream a world of magic into being. I am your host, Lindsay Baldessano, witch, interdimensional being, author, and teacher. Welcome to the podcast. Oh, and welcome to today's podcast. This is being recorded on June 16th, 2001. And today at Dracowolf here, we are wrapping up from a huge and successful first vending opportunity physical in-person fair that we did in probably like 6 or 7 years now. So it is certainly a very interesting Mercury retrograde event, how things just kind of come back and fall into place in ways that you didn't quite expect. So that being said, we are talking today a little, not a little, but we are talking specifically about, what this summer brings and the energy around the eclipse season that we are already wildly into, and all of the shifts that may have happened over the last month, 2 months, uh, because eclipse season happened in May of 2001, the first one this year. So we're kind of catching up and looking forward a bit. So, for those of you who might be new to Dracowolf and new to ideas of what I like to call cosmic navigation, we are talking about how the stars, somewhat, and the general cosmic influences, so it might not be exactly stars, maybe it's guides, maybe it's interdimensional helpers, how they are helping to set the stage for certain things in our lives and in our societies and for our world. And I don't know why, but my camera's going like in and out, in and out. Because when we know how to navigate the energies that are being put into play for us, and because of the general cycles of nature and the cosmos that do happen. I mean, eclipses are not rare things. Eclipses happen at least twice a year, sometimes more, sometimes less. Usually about 2 times a year do we get a set of eclipses. And there are always astrological events happening. It's actually more of a rare day when there isn't any astrological events happening. So, we are always in this cosmic milieu. But when we as witches, as co-creators, as priestesses of our own lives, begin to integrate what we get intuitively from the cosmic milieu and from our daily living experience, we gain a whole new level of mastery, a whole new information set that we get to work from on a daily or weekly, monthly kind of basis, depending on what aspects are hanging around for what periods of time. So we just came out of a set of eclipses that began in May and ended last week. Wow. Time has slowed down this week for me. So I'm like, oh my God, that was only like a week ago. But, it happens. It's all part of our perception of the, energetic universe around us. And eclipses, generally speaking, can be harbingers of great change and great revelation within our lives. They bring a very certain and specific kind of magic to our lives that we really don't get unless there are some very strong other cosmic influences happening the rest of the year. So there's usually an eclipse in the summer and there's usually an eclipse in the winter. And, depending on how the years flow with the cosmolot, or our chronological time calendar flows with what's happening in the sky. Sometimes, the winter, the summer, and the winter again happens all in one year. Sometimes it doesn't, and we only have two. Um, a couple of years ago, I think we had, no, we only had three. Okay, that's right. Anyway, so these things are always happening, and I find it interesting because sometimes if I go back and I look at when in the year, like if I've written in my journal, uh, I have been really at a point of some kind of pivotal change or some kind of internal confusion, some or like a period right before a breakthrough where I am like struggling with something, or I'm going back and forth about something in my head and in my spirit. It's usually going to fall in or around like just after an eclipse period, and it really brings up these big overarching uh, challenges, revelations, maybe you don't even think you're ready for, that can then change the course of your next 6 months. And sometimes, and a lot of times, um, one eclipse cycle and another kind of supports certain types of revelations coming through, certain types of changes that you're going to be called to make in a given year. And of course, there's the retrogrades that happen and aboutsies. So, I mean, if we're looking at our year in terms of seasons and groups of months, um, a lot of things go into retrograde beginning in like April. We're not talking about Mercury because Mercury moves much faster than the other planets. Um, but April, May, June, and then into eclipse season, a lot of things annually kind of go into retrograde. So it just kind of sets that whole eclipse stage. Uh, so they're not really like all these separate events. It's like this whole period of like April to June, things are going to get shook up. April, let's say April to July, um, because of the way this sometimes falls. So if you want to like rule of thumb for looking at time and how to do yearly planning, April to June is a time when things get shooken up. It's a time when we are going to look at something in particular or some kind of overarching theme in our life, and we are going to make some changes. We are going to maybe draw our boundaries differently. We are going to start craving different things. Different things are going to begin to light us up because new energies are going to start coming in. And then again, in like October, November, December, that happens again. But different energies. Sometimes it's a follow-up kind of energy to what happened over the summer. Sometimes it's really kind of helping us put something aside so we can begin like the new year-ish, on a new footing. Because usually by like the second eclipse of the winter eclipse season, we're starting to get the new year energies in. And even that to me is like a New Year's season, like late December to like February, something like that. So I look at time a little bit differently, kind of year of the wheel of the year ish, but um, not strictly, um, not strictly like fire festivals and whatnot. Um, but I do follow the equinoxes and the solstices because there's usually some kind of energy spike, usually some kind of tuning point on those days that's happening astrologically, that's happening with our guides, that's happening with a message that has to come forth during those times because it's easier, because the vibrations are higher. That is worth noting. Even if it's just we bring peace. We're sending you peace and love kind of message. It's still worth noting, and it's still worth experiencing on the individual level. So this past eclipse was so very interesting to me, and it of course, coupled with the whole idea of Mercury retrograde, bringing back old relationships and stuff from your past. Like this one went like way, way deep into past, and I'm not even sure really, because how can you ever be when all of this just comes from meditative kind of trance experience, personal gnosis. I'm not even sure if it's really like 100% Earth past, or maybe some kind of interdimensional past life, concurrent life, like whatever, um, but we're talking like themes of Atlantis and Avalon, and I'm just kind of skipping ahead in my notes here, but I can't even find where that is. Oh, and well, Starseed integration, Starseed revelation, and even just ideas about how interdimensional we all are as beings, and what that can mean for our place in time and space, and what we can tap into, and what influences and I'll say powers for now that we have available to us at any given time to witch with. But so, like, way deep past stuff has been hitting me and some of the people in my immediate this life soul group. And so it's been so very interesting. And I have a feeling that even more spikes and more revelations and more uh, energy attunements from our guides and from our interplanetary helpers are going to just continue to happen over this next week as we come into our next super full moon at solstice, which is about a week from now. I forget the date, 23rd, 24th, I think it is this year. Yeah, probably. I'm not bothering to count it out at my fingers. So, um, but to top that off, we've got some beautiful other energies coming in that are setting the stage for these revelations. We have a cosmic kite and a cosmic rectangle. Jupiter begins its retrograde. We already have some planets in retrograde. And then toward the end of the week, as we come closer to the full moon, Mercury is finally going to start going direct again. So the energy will shift and things will start getting a little easier to plan, easier to count on, easier to move forward with. And then, of course, the very high energy day of solstice. And for the last week, 2 weeks, I've been kind of keeping an eye on the Schumann resonances and solar weather, or not just solar weather, but space weather around our planet. And things kind of have been like peaking and spiking and peaking and spiking. It hasn't been this stable force. Sometimes it can be, and sometimes I think we long for those days when like there isn't a million things going on. When the energy isn't like up and agitated on the planet in general. But it is what it is. And especially as in North America here, in America especially, we are coming to this point where things are opening up and we are getting back to some kind of normal, regular life pattern. After the pandemic, I mean, the energy is just kind of matching that. And over the next month, it's going to be a very friendly kind of social energy where, of course, we want to get out because we've been on lockdown, we've been restricted, we've been, watching the news about, our ability to just be able to, go out and enjoy life without really worrying. I mean, that certainly has its own psychological effect, but it's being reflected also in the energies in the cosmic milieu. And so we're going to want to get out and we're going to want to enjoy the sun and dance under the moon. And there's a good reason for that right now, which we'll get into in a little bit. But I expect those energies to increase until, not increase, but still fluctuate, go up and down, some solar storms, maybe a flare, Schumann resonance spikes until around solstice, and then it might calm down for a little bit. So enjoy the ride, enjoy the high. And just remember that a lot of that anxiety, kind of itchy, like feeling like there's something happening in the world, um, that is probably just going to be, part of the cosmic milieu. It's just the energy that just happens to be around us at this particular time. It doesn't have to mean anything personal. So you don't have to go all nuts, like searching through your intuition, like, oh no, what's happening? There's like, I feel something must be happening. That isn't necessarily true. And if intuition doesn't come back with some kind of immediate ping that, like, maybe you should know about, then get out, ground, or find some way to expel those energies. Find some kind of channel, whether it be like outward channel, whether it be like going for a walk, getting in the pool, uh, you know, going on vacation, just getting out and letting those energies find a natural and good feeling outlet for a little while. So we kind of covered what this all means, so I'm going to skip that in my notes here. And just remember, there is always something happening in the universe, so there's no reason to stop what you're doing, to delay your plans, to wait, even to do anything big, new, to make a decision, to move forward, unless you are struggling. And I don't want you to drop into blame for the cosmic milieu if you're struggling. Because let's, be realistic here. All of these energies are hitting everybody on the planet. So, maybe we're getting some resistance because everybody's getting a little triggery. Everybody's feeling that kind of itchy feeling that comes with the earth and the solar stuff that's happening. But what all of these energies bring out in you, that is the personal part. That is the stuff that you have to get a grip with, get an understanding of, know how to lean into it, or lean into a self-care practice that might help you then begin to process those energies in a different way. Because we're always in these layered energetic influences. Always, always, always. These specific harmonics that are helping, let's say, the heartbeat of the universe, whatever consciousness exists in that kind of void vortex creation state, which then extends out to our, our helpers, our angels, our guides, and of course, each and every being, each and every cell within this universe, is helping bring about specific things to our awareness. It's setting the stage so that we can make certain choices or certain healings for ourselves and for our, then going back out for our families, our friends, our community, our nation, going back out, going back in, and then going back out. And so everybody is experiencing these things. The only thing you need to pay particular attention to is if something is feeling a little triggery in you. And then don't just brush it off and, whitewash it away and say, like, oh, it's just Mercury retrograde. Oh, it's just the eclipse. And just take what's really present for you and journal about that and work with that, and maybe get some kind of Reiki person or channeler to, help you figure out how deep this goes and how to move some of it around so it's not in some kind of resistance to how you're living and what you need to do in this here and now, in this very moment. Because why stay in that struggle point? And the more we blame it on something else external to us, the more time we're going to spend not getting this thing resolved. And, it might just be like I need a good talk with a friend, and the energy moves, and, you come back into wholeness and balance. Sometimes maybe you need to just find a healer for yourself for the next month. It doesn't have to be a big thing, a big life thing. It could just be little. totally depends on what's coming through for you. So pay attention to that, so that we can be proactive, so that we can be in our witchy power, so that we can continue to feel good and grow. Okay, so these energies are going to kind of hang around. These very friendly energies are going to hang around after solstice. And they're going to stick around until like the next big shift, which is going to be like around Lionsgate. So October 8th, or the week of the week of August 8th. So we're giving that a longer time period. It's not just a one-day event. Yes, Lionsgate opens, but you'll feel the energy shifting a little bit before, so, the very beginning of August, and probably to about mid-August, because as Lionsgate opens, the Sirian portal also opens, and they're kind of synonymous. They kind of go together with what happens every year in our skies, and every year, not just in our skies, but then the energies that start coming through. When we are still kind of feeling the effects of when during eclipse time we were open to the Pleiadian portal. So a lot of different stuff was coming through then than what we might normally have gotten. Again, this happens every year, but this year I really feel at least the effects in my life were like a lot stronger. And what came through was that during this time, where after eclipse and before Lionsgate and the Sirian portal opens, we are coming to a choice point as humanity, as a global consciousness, as a collective consciousness even, where we get to kind of inform our guides, our interdimensional allies, that whole thing going on all the way up there around us. We get to inform them what we need, what comes next for us. We at least get some kind of chance to give our input on it. And so the best way that we can help this process is by being very grounded in our earthly life. And not just grounded as in I'm peaceful and nothing bothers me. Like, they want you to get out there and like live life, which is, so in tune with the actual astrological stuff that's happening, where we're gonna want to get out and dance in the moonlight and in the rain, and go for a swim and go to parties and maybe have that campfire or go on vacation. These very social things where we get to see and interact and reflect and see what others are reflecting back to us. It's going to be a very interesting time where we can kind of like begin to see what the healing that we all need, especially after 2020, what we need to move forward. And I'm not going to say get back to normal, because I think there's a great many of us who are going to choose not to go back to normal. That we're going to choose something different and something more personally enlivening, personally healing. Where we're not just meeting our needs as we used to see them, but now we're going to choose to meet our needs on a whole other level. And that might change how you live your daily life, where you live your daily life. We've already gone through a lot of this. But now we get to make some more permanent changes to what is going to start coming through for us as a people. What the Sirians and the Ascended Masters will start trying to disseminate, to download into our collective consciousness. What kind of technology do we need? What kind of social change and social justice energy signatures do we need? What lessons, lesson groupings, what kind of healing techniques do we need? Like, all of it. Like, all of this can begin to be answered once we, really enter into our daily lives this summer and see what lights us up. See who lights us up. See what it is that we get to do for the first time in a year and a half. That, what are we called to do? What aren't we called to do anymore? All of those things. All of those things are what we should be, journaling about, recording, so that when we get to the time period of August, we're coming into the end of summer, so we have a little bit more clarity about what we think we might need to become the people we want to become. The beings we want to become, not just personally, but collectively as well. So it's a big message. It's an interesting point. And then, because what's going to happen is after the Sirian portal and Lionsgate, then we have a series of 2 Earth trines coming up mid-August and then again mid-September, and they are 2 grand air trines. So, air is a symbol for the energy of knowledge, for learning, for teaching, for new ideas, for new inspiration, for a rebalancing even of things related to justice and decisions and contracts and strategic partnerships. So it's going to be a time where we're going to start getting the things we need in order to grow new roots. Maybe some of you will go back to school. Maybe some of you will choose to learn a new modality. Maybe some of you will finally start that business. October, September, or at least learning about it, so then that can happen October, November, and then again we're at eclipse period. Another time of realignment, and I feel like it's going to be a really big follow-up to what's happening here this summer, to this learning period and this reattunement period we're being asked to kind of document and give input on. So it's very fascinating. So remember, be in your energy and be in this place where you can choose what you enjoy and what you want to experience going into this new normal, whatever that means, really. and where are you going to put your energies? What are you going to support with your energies, your time, and your money into bringing back into this new world? Or bringing into it for the first time even? Beautiful, interesting questions that are going to really push us forward in the coming year. All right. I did draw a card from the Beyond Lemuria deck. And what came up as we tune into the light codes and the energy and the symbols behind this. Just moving it around ever so slightly so maybe you can get some more detail. But on the back of the card it does read, Sacral Chakra, Core of Creation. Revel in the present moment and feel deeply into your senses. The sensuality of being alive. The breeze on your skin. The scent of the damp earth. The feeling of aligning perfectly into the temple you call your body. This card is about diving into the depths of the present moment, where all your faculties are available for divine creation. Nothing is left in the past or caught in the future. All of who you are unites in a perfect moment of ecstatic conception. Let yourself drop into passion, intimacy, and loving connection with whatever you are birthing into this world and with whomever you have chosen to co-create. So actually a perfect message for this. I feel a little bit of a channel message coming through before I do want to log off, so give me a moment here. Be open. Be clear. Find resolution. Ignite your core. Blessings to all. Thanks for listening to this week's podcast, and this has been Lindsay Baldessano from Dracowolf, and I invite you to visit our shop and our website and sign up there to get more notifications of podcasts and very cool witchy decor, spiritual tools, and gemstone jewelry. And our website is http://shop.dracowolf.com. That's DRACOWOLF.com.